Hello everybody, it's Mark here from Mark and Adam. He's not here, Adam's not here, he's doing other things. But today we're going to talk about the basics of EQ, and what we're going to focus on is the actual frequency ranges, that we break down into lows, mids and highs, kind of what frequencies are in those ranges, how do we like to subdivide them, what we're looking for in each range, and kind of giving you a go-to guide on beginner EQ. Now, I will admit I have to hold myself back a lot in this video because I'm going to try and keep it very simple and keep it focused on the frequency ranges, but I've said it before, I'm a massive EQ nerd.
Nerd alert!
And it's going to be hard for me to not get out into the weeds. So if you see me getting out into the weeds, just smack me and get me back on track and we will go and continue. We're going to be using our song called Night that was released on Blanco y Negro. I'll play a little bit of that for you now. And this is what we will be using for the video. Here we go. Alright, so that's what we're going to be working with here today. The first thing, mentioned it before, we're separating our frequencies into lows, mids and highs. We're going to start at the lows, breaking out the lows into two kind of subcategories. Funnily enough, the first category is sub-bass, right? When we are focused on sub-bass, we're looking at the frequency range from obviously 0 hertz to about 60 hertz, right? These ranges of frequencies are very hard to hear, but this is the frequency range that we feel, right? I mean, most of us are human beings that are watching this video right now. So we just can't do it. We just can't hear those lower frequencies really well, but they really make a huge difference in our music, and we like those feels. We like the feel of the sub bass. It's something that made me fall in love with music, was feeling sub bass, and still to this day I love it. Now, I've brought up a whole different, this is kind of all the bass put in for the drop of our song that you just heard. And I have a sub range on an EQ broken out, right? So this first one's 25 hertz. This second part here where the cutoff is 60 hertz. This is the sub range. Now, I'm going to play it. It's going to sound kind of strange. I am not telling you to take your sub bass and trim it down to 25 and 60 hertz and make those cuts and make tracks like that. I'm just saying, when you're focusing on sub bass and you're trying to figure out what you need in your sub bass, what to take out of your sub bass, what to be careful with when it comes to sub bass, these are the frequency ranges that you need to pay attention to and that you need to focus on. I'm just having these on the screen here like this, just so you can see where the range is and hear the frequencies that we're focusing on within a sub bass. Obviously, your sub bass is going to have more in it, right? That's not what I'm talking about here. Now, I'm just going to slide this up from 25 to about 40 or 45, and anything in that range and below, we just want to completely cut because we can't hear it, right? And I'll explain why in a second. Let's just give this a listen. Oops. This is the range we're talking about with sub bass. Now, what to be careful of in this range, we have to be careful not to boost too much because it'll get really muddy, right? Give this a listen. really muddy there, right? But that's the range we're talking about when we're focusing on our sub-bass range, right? I mean, if I took this off the sub-bass, especially this sub-bass, it's going to go into the other ranges, it's going to blend because there's some mid-bass in here, there's some other stuff going on. Again, focus on these frequency ranges that we're talking about. Now, I said before, cut everything below 25 to 45 hertz, just depending on what you're doing with your sub-bass. It'll kill unnecessary rumble, right? We don't want a lot of just rumble. We want actual true sub-bass. And it will also, we can't hear those levels under there. So you think, well, if I can't hear it, why can't I leave it? The problem is that there's information there. And that information gets into your mix and it takes up headroom in your mix. So cut it, because when it comes down to mixing, we always are looking for extra headroom for our track to shine and for the things that we have created to have space in the spectrum and in our mix to come through. And if it's full of crap that we can't hear, it doesn't need to be there. So we're just going to cut all of that out there. And in this range, I'll tell you right now, I don't boost in this range at all. If I have a sub and I feel that it needs a little more, I'm probably going to add some saturation. I'm not going to boost, right? Just because boosting in the sub range causes so many problems with mud and all kinds of other issues, I'm just going to maybe add some saturation there if I feel my sub needs more. On now to the bass range of frequencies, right? That was sub bass. This is going to be our bass layer. Here again, we're looking at 60 hertz up to 250 hertz. Right? This is going to be our bass range. This is where our kick and our bass are going to be the focal point. We really want to marry our kick and our bass together here and get the most out of that relationship. We'll make another video talking about how to get your kick and your bass deeply, madly in love and get them working together and get them having babies and just really blossom in that relationship.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
We'll do it in another video. Don't know if it's going to be appropriate for YouTube. But anyway, that'll come in another video. But this is the frequency range where that relationship between your kick and your bass is really going to come. If you're talking your kick and you're looking for more punch in your kick, everybody's talking about punchy kicks, right? Everybody wants punchy kicks. You're going to look to boost a little bit from 100 to 180 hertz. That's where you're going to get that little bit of extra punch in your kick. If you're talking 140 to 225 hertz, that's where you're going to get warmness and fullness in your bass, right? I have a kick drum here. We'll talk about that. I'll boost around that 100 to 150 level, right? Or 180 level. I'll boost it around 150. We'll get a listen to this kick drum and, you know, see how much punch we can get when I boost it just a little bit. So that's the level where the punch is going to come in on your kick, and then on the warmth for your bass, we're going to use the same bass as we did previously, and we'll just boost it a little bit. Again, I'm keeping these EQs strictly on the ranges that we're talking about, so it's going to sound really different when you open all that up and focus on that range within the perspective of the entire set of information that's coming in. But for now, I'm keeping it on there just to focus on these ranges. Give me a break. Right, here we go. So you have to be careful not to over boost, because then we're getting that boom type sound. We don't want that boom. We just want some warmth. A little bit of extra warmth. Right? We're here. And we're here. Little bit of warmth in there. That's it. If we can't get the warmth we're looking for from a small boost in this bass range of 60 to 250 hertz, we need some saturation. We maybe need to add some saturation to get the warmth we're looking for. Be careful, if you start feeling like your mix is boomy, you need to go back to this range and take care of it by EQing properly. Alright, so we're done with our lows. Now we're moving on to the mids, right? We break up our mids into low mids, mid-range, and high mids. At least we do, right? It's probably standard, right? I'm sure I got that from somewhere. But we're looking low mids, a true mid-range, and high mids. Our low mids is where we're going to start. You can see I'm working it over here. We are starting around 250 hertz, and our higher range of low mids is going to be around 500 hertz. The focus here is on our bass, right? A small boost around 300 hertz will get a lot of clarity in our low end, right? If someone's looking for clarity, telling you need clarity in your low end, 300 hertz, little boost in this area here on your bass will really add that clarity. Too much stuff in this range though, again, you get that boom, you get that mud. This is the area where you normally get a lot of boom, a lot of mud. We definitely want to avoid that. You'll know when you're struggling in this range and you need a boost because things will sound very thin. If you just don't have it in this range of frequencies, these low mids, it's going to be thin. It's going to be like it needs a cheeseburger or three, right? You're going to have to feed it something. You can try a boost. If you can't boost there, go with saturation again, right? Because then we're actually adding some harmonics to the signal. Boosting, we're just boosting the thinness that we already have. Sometimes that's not enough and you have to go extra, and at some points in this area you may need another layer, right? So again, we're going to use the same bass from the drop that has some sub in there, some bass, it has some low mids, it has all kinds of stuff. We're just going to focus on this frequency range. I'm going to boost it here around 300 and we'll see if we can get some clarity in this signal. Here we go. See if we go too big. And if we pull it back, it's just going to sound empty. Empty and thin. We don't want that. So that's our low mid range. Okay, so now we are talking true mid-range. Our mid-range is going to be from 500 hertz up to about 2K, right? This is going to be where our prominence, our true presence in our sound and in our track is going to be in this mid-range, right? We boost here. When we boost here, we're going to get everything in front. It's going to come to the forefront if we boost here, right? So we really need to be careful. Too much boost in a 500 to like a 1K range, right? That's going to bring us mud. Again, this is a big issue with mud because we're trying to really bring things forward and make it noticeable and make our listeners go, oh, that's what I like. That's what I want to listen to. And if we boost it too much, we're going to get a lot of mud. So in this area, when you're boosting, less is definitely more in this area. Now, we talked about getting too much mud from 500 hertz to 1K. If we boost too much from 1K to 2K in this range, we start to get like a very metallic, tinny kind of sound, right? And we don't want that either. So again, we're sitting here at 500 to 2K. I'll boost a little bit between 500 and 1K. I'll boost there, and then I will also boost at the other area and just listen to the problems that it can cause us, right? We're going to change to a different part of the song. It's going to be some chords that are in the breakdown, but they sound pretty decent. It's a decent track. Night by Mark and Adam. Give it a listen. Alright, here we go. So you can see that it's getting muddy. Very muddy. And if I boost this way, we get tinny. But a little boost there really brings it to the forefront. And there we go. That's our mid-range, right? This is where, again, we're looking to put our best shoes on the shelf. We want these products up front. We want this part of our song, this part of our range, these frequencies focused on the listener, but we have to be very careful and not muddy them and cause tinny metallic stuff on the higher ends of this range. This is the mid-range. Alright. So we're done with the low mids, we're done with our mid-range, it's on to the high mids. The frequency range from our high mids is going to be from 2K to 6K. I've got it right here. If you look at this high mid EQ, we've got 2K, 6K. This area is where we get a lot of percussive attack, I guess you would call it, like bite from the percussion, as well as rhythm, right? I also find this high mid range is very good for like your drop synths, and we'll focus on the drop synths here as well. But you know, if you're having percussion issues and rhythm issues, this is a good range to focus on and address any EQ issues that you might be having. Another important thing about high mids is that if you have any sounds in your mix that are struggling to kind of cut through and be noticed, right? You spent all this time working on a certain instrument, working on a certain whatever, and it's just not coming through. You have a really cool sample, drum sample or whatever, a fill or whatever that's just not really coming through properly. It's not making itself into the mix. If you boost within this range, it can really bring some presence to whatever sound that you're having issues with, right? If something's hiding or can't burst through, this is the range that you might want to boost to try and bring it to the forefront a little bit more. Too much boost in this area of frequencies, you start to get like ear tiredness. You just start to, you ever hear like a song and you go, oh, this is just, I need a break from this. I need an absolute break from this. It's making my ears tired. It's because there's too much boost in this area. 4 to 6K, right? So the entire range is 2 to 6K. Around 4 to 6K is where you'll find really good clarity in your instruments or whatever sounds you're bringing that are in this area, and you'll find definition. You'll be able to hear kind of full character of whatever it is you're trying to do within that 4 to 6 range. So I will boost below 4K, and then I'll boost after 4K when I play this. Again, we're keeping these frequencies tight to just the range that we're talking about. It's going to sound a lot different when you open it up and you have a full sound playing and playing across the full spectrum. This is what we're going to do for the drop right now, and it's going to be the synths, and we will give it a listen. Here we go. See, that's boosted there. It's just, when you pull back from it, you can feel that your ears are tired, right? Watch, I'm going to blast it again, and then I'll pull back, and you'll just feel relief. It just makes your ears tired. So those are the high mids. Be very careful. You definitely don't want ear tiredness. Again, this is one of those ranges that when you feel like you're missing something, you've EQ'd it to the best of your ability across multiple, across everything. Specifically, you maybe have a few different instances and different, more advanced EQ techniques all going on in this range, and you still feel like you're missing something. It's possible you just need a little bit of saturation, add some harmonics in there, and it's possible you might just need another layer. Maybe you're just not fully cooked yet in this frequency band. But this is an important one. This is where you're going to get clarity, definition. This is again where you're getting attack and rhythm in this area. So it's very important. Make sure you're paying attention to the high mid area. Alright, we're almost done. Now we are talking highs. We've finished with the lows, we've moved out of the mids, and now we're on the highs. The highs are going to be from 6K to 20K, right? We'll stick with the same drop that we did in the high mids. 6K is going to be our lowest frequency for our highs, and then 20K is going to be the highest frequency in that range. Boosts in this area give sparkle and give like a kind of airy type feel, and it just really gives some shimmer when you boost properly in this area. If you are boosting too much, we're going to get the same kind of ear fatigue that we got in the high mid area. So be careful how you're boosting. Again, there's a very specific range between 6K and 8K that if you boost in that area, you're going to get very hissy, right? So be careful when you're just, especially with vocals, you're adding all kinds of de-essers and all this kind of stuff, and you're like, wait a minute, this de-esser doesn't work. So you go out and you buy 10 other de-essing programs and give Waves all your money and all this kind of stuff. And you're wondering why you've got 3 de-essers on there and you've tried 10 other ones and you're still getting hissy type sounds. Check the area around 6 to 8K, because that's the problem when it comes to hissing, and you'll see that a lot in vocals. I'm going to play it with the drop. Within this range again, I'll boost it a couple of different levels, and then we'll move on to some hi-hats and check out the same thing again. Alright. Here we go. It's that same thing we did or the same piece that we did for the high mids. This is just the highs though that we're focusing on that same drop. So if I go down to 7K and I start to boost, and let me tighten it up a bit. You can see it gets hissy. Bad. And if I just boost overall, it starts to hurt your ears again. And when I bring it down, you get like instant relief. It's horrendous. So be very careful in this area with this band. Again, this is an area that's important. Everybody likes to have that sparkly, airy type feel, especially us. A lot of our drops are kind of big, super saw, future bassy type things. It's very easy to get yourself into problems in this area. Let's listen to some hi-hats now, right? They're a regular hi-hat, and then I've got a nice open hi-hat here. We'll listen to this. And again, focus on those areas. Let me just loop this part here so we're getting everything. Same exact frequency range, the 6K to the 20K. I'll boost here, I'll give us the overall, we'll get the ear fatigue, we'll hear the hissing, and we'll feature it now just using some hi-hats. Here we go. A hissy hi-hat, eh? Oof. And then you can already hear, I mean, I can already hear the ear fatigue going on. And when I lower it, it's instant relief, right? Instant relief. Obviously, I am exaggerating some of these boosts, but if you've made a boost, especially on some of those areas where we're talking ear fatigue, and you know, if you just bring it back, you think your boost is fine, and you bring it back and you feel relief, you've probably boosted too much, right? Again, if you start getting muddy on some of your lower end stuff, you start getting boomy on some of your lower end stuff, you start getting ear fatigue on some of the higher end stuff, and hissy and tinny and all this kind of thing, pull back on your boost. If you don't feel good about that, don't continue to boost. Don't straight add a layer. Go with the saturation first, right? I always made the mistake of boosting, but I need more, so I need to boost. Oh, it needs more low end. I'd boost it. I'm already boosting. I'm just boosting with EQ what's already there. I'm not adding anything. Sometimes you need to add some harmonics, either with some saturation, and if we really need more, right, then we need a whole other layer, and that's fine as well. But make sure your EQ is properly done. It will save you so much time. Most of the people that I come across that say that they're bad at mixing, and they have a big problem mixing down their own tracks, and they can't even get a good rough mix, it's because they don't know how to EQ. So if you are a newer producer, or you're very inexperienced and just starting out, spend a lot of time learning how to EQ on a basic level, an intermediate level, then an advanced level, because when it comes down to actually mixing your song at the end, it's so much easier. It's so much easier, right? And you know, the frequency spectrum is an incredible thing. It's what makes us love music, and learning how to EQ is just such an important part of what we do. You know, it's not a nerdy sound engineer type thing, it's a producer type thing, whether you're in a studio, in your bedroom, sitting on your couch with your headphones in on your laptop, it doesn't matter. You have to know how to work within this incredible sound spectrum and these incredible frequencies that our ears can hear, so that people will actually like your music. So that's it from us today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, you know, get us in the comments, like and subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Mark and Adam Beat, Facebook, Mark and Adam Beat, the website's markandadam.com, get us on Spotify, Mark and Adam. I will leave you now with a full version of the drop of our song Night. Please give it a listen if you have not done so already. That is it. Thank you for everything, and we will talk to you soon.